Hey folks, happy Sunday. Lester here, hanging out with our newest rescue or surrender, Chuck, all the way from Pennsylvania. I wanted to clarify a couple of things that kept popping up in questions. Number one, and I understand the concern, is the fact that a lot of folks were wondering why we did not do a 2-week quarantine like we had talked about. And that's because that Justin's vet up in Pennsylvania came out and did all of the necessary blood work, all of the tests, got all of the paperwork, and then Justin himself gave him a 2-week quarantine period before he transported him down. I do believe it was actually a little bit longer than 2 weeks. But no, there's not a need to quarantine twice. I also talked about on my live video the way that Chuck got out of the trailer and just showed, he traveled very well. We thought that he might be a little bit beat up and wore down when he got here, but no, he's actually in just amazing shape and health. Took a 1,000-pound roll of hay and tossed it around with sea legs. So what does that tell you? After driving 24 hours in the back of a trailer, riding, and he gets out with sea legs and he's still able to find the strength to pick up a 1,000-pound roll of hay and just shred it. So Chuck is doing wonderful, and he is in fact on the pasture. I do bring him in at different times of the evening, usually towards the nighttime, so that he can make sure, I can rest assured that he's safe overnight, not walking fence lines looking for weak spots. And that's how it's going to be for a little while. Stay tuned. I want to talk to you a whole lot more about Chuck in this video. It's going to it is going to be all about Chuck. All about Chuck. And of course, there's some rescue horses here as well. I think that it does Chuck good to get out and be able to graze. I know that he misses having companionship in a friend, and I feel like it's sad that I'm not able to do the same things with him that Justin and Jeff were doing back in Pennsylvania. But that's kind of whenever Justin and Jeff rolled out, they knew we were going to have to kind of set some new ground rules. And one of those rules is we will not be doing all of the close and personal contact. So when he starts walking up close to me, I will sometimes reach for my spanky stick to let him know that I love him, and I don't mind loving him from a distance, but I just cannot put myself in a position to be right up on top of him and, risk life and limb. And I think that Justin and Jeff understand that, and they're okay with it. It is the followers on the SFF channel who have had a harder time with it. I read comments, and I understand people would love to keep that same type of bond, that human-animal bond. But I think that we all know what happened to Justin, and like Lauren will tell you, she came very close to losing her husband that day. And so I still hope to have a few more years left in me. I do have children. One is grown, but the other, which still needs his dad, and hopefully a dad that can walk and be able to do things. I already hobble around enough as it is with my joints. But no, this is what we've been doing every day now, letting Chuck out to walk around, graze. In case you're wondering, we do have a a ryegrass seed that we plant around October every year, and by now it's in full bloom. That's why even though we've had quite a few frost and even a couple of hard freezes, we still have a whole lot of good green grass to eat. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but anything green is always in anything dry as far as nutrition goes. It's like your mom always told you, got to eat the green stuff, eat your veggies. You may want that potato, or you may want them French fries, but your mama knows that if you really want to get the best nutritional value, you have to have that rainbow. And so offering him green grass to graze on, even here in January, is a blessing to us, and it's going to be really good for him. Now, we also find ways to supplement. We have some alfalfa hay here that we also drop off. We also feed grains, and he always has access to dry hay. So there's no lacking of roughage. and nutritional wise, he's getting all that he needs. And I just love the fact that he's able to come out, spend some time out in pasture, and to get some exercise. Stop. You don't have to be cooped up in that, that small lot, the chuck stop we call it. And so today is the first day that he's been out for hours. I let him out when I first got here on the live video. Since then, I went inside and come out several times to check on him, and he's doing great. It's starting to rain a little bit harder now, but he has chosen on his own to keep grazing. Friends, don't forget that animals like bulls and horses and so many others are very well conditioned to the elements. It may be cold and wet to us, but they're fine. They have been conditioned over thousands and thousands of years to be able to handle these elements. We're blessed that all of our animals have a barn to go into, and it's true, all of our animals at all three properties have shelter to go into. But you can't make them go inside. I mean, you can't make them. They will go in if they choose to. And as of today, Chuck's saying, you know what? I'm just going to stay right here on pasture. This grass is yummy. I'm enjoying it. I'm stretching my legs. And I'm going to stay right here for a while longer. However, Lester's getting soaked, and I'm cold. I'm going to go ahead and drive on back up and possibly change clothes and then come back out and check on him a little bit later. I've walked out on a very rainy afternoon, and I'm a little bit concerned because as I peek across the pastures, I don't see Chuck anywhere. Now, I don't want to alarm you. We have really good fencing. Oh, I see him. Okay, we're fine. We have really good fencing that goes around our entirety of our pastures. But this far side over here along this tree line is by far the worst part of our fencing. Guys, it's raining. I'm going to wipe my lens. And so this is the spot where he came down to hang out. Now, Chuck is still probably trying to get to know us and try to figure out who's who and what's what. He's not real sure of anything right now. But you guys also know that my worry with this particular area is that it's prone to flash flooding. Now, right now, we don't have heavy rains at all. But if it were raining heavily, water comes rushing down through this normally dry creek. And I would hate for Chuck to get stuck on the wrong side of it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, because I think that he's getting bored and just kind of curious, I think I may go ahead and walk him back up and try to get him to go back into his pasture, or I'm sorry, his lot, the Chuck stop. Because otherwise he's just roaming around looking for something to get into. And we don't want him to end up getting bored and finding himself in trouble. Guys, he's eating plenty. I'm so proud of him. He's eating really good. And like I said, our fencing is not a concern. We have really good fencing around the entire property. Now, nothing is as strong as our bullpen. Don't get it twisted. Our bullpen is by far the strongest fencing that we have. But my plan was not to move Chuck to the bullpen anytime soon, but instead let him spend some time here with Rita and Roman and friends. And he's doing great. So you see all of our fencing. We have 6 strands of barbed wire over there. And bulls don't normally go through 6 strands of barbed wire. Well, we are also starting to fog up again. Give me a moment. So he looks to be a little bit frustrated, like he just wants something to do, wants someone to hang out with. Maybe he just bored him. And then I would also imagine that whatever drug Justin's vet gave him is probably wearing off, because we've not really seen this side of Chuck in a while. This may have been the side of Chuck that you all know from back before he was given the injection. Don't turn your anger towards me, bud. I love you, and I'm going to try to offer you a really fun and friendly home. So I'm going to tell you something, and you may not want to hear this, but I'm actually considering the possibility of letting him out back with Tex and all of our females who have already been bred. The reason I say that is because I do think that he is getting bored up front. He's not having any of his own kind. And I don't have a concern necessarily with any of our females back there. They're going to hold their own. Our calves are fine. Tex will not let him take the #1 spot. And so we can absolutely open that gate and see what happens. If we do have some kind of an issue, then we can always just go ahead and run Chuck back up, hopefully. I don't really like working on days like today where it's so sloppy and nasty. I'm getting soaked. The temperatures are down or in the high 50s, so it's not cold, but I'm also not wearing a raincoat of any sort. And then I know that you can't see. You don't have the best of video quality either when it's like this. So that's what I'll do. I'll drive back up ahead of him, open up his lot, see if we can get him to go back inside, and then we will possibly consider in the next couple of days or so allowing him some time on the back pasture with the other cows. It can only be the back pasture though. We cannot move him up front with Waylon and friends. I am so sorry about the camera lens fogging up. So the way I'm going to get Chuck in to avoid Roman and Rita is I'll bring him in the side gate over here. Let me get out and open this right quick, and I'll show you what kind of an operation we have. Chuck's coming this way, so I don't have a lot of time. What I don't want him to do, but if he did, it's not that big of a deal. I don't want him to push through both red gates into the back. I'd rather him push through this one right here, which I'm opening for him, and then he'll go right up towards the front over here, and I'll just close both behind him. And then that will also give him his loafing shed where he has a place to dry off. His water's full. And here he comes this way. So he's coming with me. I do think this will be a whole lot better. And like I said, the only thing I don't want is for him to bust open this gate over here.
Don't let your troubles fester. Come watch Longhorn Lester.
Yeah, something like that.